Hello, everyone. This is Reverend Ken Wilcox from the Center for Spiritual Living here in beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. So this past week, I was asked to participate in a funeral that was led by a Catholic minister, and it really turned out to be a lovely service. But it reminded me of a service that happened over 30 years ago that was also led by a Catholic minister. It happened in the early 90s, and it was for a cousin by marriage, a person that came into my life when I was a senior in high school. My mom married his uncle, uh, and we were both same age. We were both gay, and we became close friends for a while. Um, After I graduated from college, I went off to explore the world, and I went up to DC and lived in there for a long time. I had come back to Atlanta, and when I got back, he was suffering from AIDS. This was the early 90s, and his mother was very concerned. She did not want the little town of Macon to know that he had AIDS, even though everybody knew. A year out from his death, he suffered a head injury, and so he was never in his right mind from that point on. He knew he was dying, and so he had drawn up a mausoleum that he wanted built for himself in the historic cemetery there in Macon, Rose Hill Cemetery. If you ever get a chance to go visit it, it's a beautiful place. And he decided he wanted his funeral to be at the beautiful Catholic church in Macon. But there was just one problem. He was not Catholic. He had never attended catechism. He had never become a Catholic. When he died, his mom reached out to the Catholic Church, and the head priest in Macon agreed to come and do a graveside service. They couldn't do it in the church because he wasn't Catholic, but he was willing to come and do a graveside service for Duffy. And so I was headed down to Macon from Atlanta that day, and I was very concerned about what this priest was going to say about Duffy. At that time, there had started appearing a rather angry, uh, judgmental nun on television, Mother Angelina. Um, and uh, in the South also, there is a tradition, especially among fundamentalist churches, that if a minister knows that the person hasn't lived a good life, the idea is to preach them into hell, to let people know that this person is being judged and is in hell, and now's their opportunity to accept Christ. So I was very concerned about what sort of service we would have. I was really worried about his mom because she was a really dear and lovely person. When I got to the service, the priest got up and he gave one of the most loving and compassionate talks imaginable. I still use a lot of his language today when I do a funeral service. He urged us to consider Duffy in our prayers. He said Duffy was in a place like an infant, waking up in the physical world, but he was now waking up uh, to the energy and spirit of God, and that with infant eyes that he might be a little confused. And so we should do prayers for him, that he be in comfort, sending him love, and also asking him to do prayers for us because he was in between two worlds at this point. It was rather sort of a Buddhist idea, and it was just amazing. Like I said, it's 30 years on, I still use a lot of his concepts. You know, at that time, I was a senior vice president of a public relations firm. I had no idea that my life would lead me into the ministry. And I'm sure that priest had no idea how comforting and empowering his words would be. That 30 years later, someone sitting in that by that graveside would be still using his inspirations um, to comfort, inspire people. We never know. We don't know the good we can do. We never know the good the Spirit is empowering us when we walk in compassion. You see, for 2,000 years now, people have tried to change the world through judgment and anger. It hasn't worked. We've only gotten more judgment and anger. We need to follow the example of Christ and change the world through compassion and love. And when we do, we're going to bring about a new heaven and new earth. It's the promise that's been made to us. This is the truth in your life today. It's the truth in mine, and so it is.